schematic, a board view, a crumb, just a crumb. You don't get any of that at all. Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely day. A lot of you have been asking me to talk about Apple's new self-service repair program for MacBooks and what they've made available. As somebody who's been repairing MacBooks here on YouTube for just about a decade now and about 15 years for my own company, I wanted to talk about this program and I wanted to discuss whether or not I think it's good or bad from my perspective. I'm going to be looking at this program for the first time alongside all of you, so let's dig into it. Before I dig into it, I just wanted to link you to some of my older videos that I've done when Apple's self-service repair program came out earlier this year, which was only for iPhones. I talked about it here. The absolute TLDR of that video is that it only made a very limited number of parts available, so it wasn't insanely useful, but it was a start. Again, you're missing charge ports, you're missing power buttons, you're missing schematics, you're missing diagrams, and the pricing is very similar to what you'd pay at the Apple Store to have them fix it. And when it came to Apple's independent repair provider program, this, in my opinion, was almost entirely useless. This program required that I provide information on my customers to Apple. I would have to check my customer in before I would even be able to order a part. So this whole thing that we do here, where we say, oh, we have this in stock, we could do the repair in 20 minutes. Nope, we'd have to tell the customer it's going to take 3 days to a week, which would result in them saying no to the repair because nobody wants to wait that long. You couldn't get access to a charge port for a phone, a power button or a volume button for a phone, any sort of parts for the motherboard of a MacBook, no schematics, no diagrams, and I had to sign an agreement that Apple could audit my business for several years after I leave the program. So not only are they not offering me anything that I need, but I'm also signing myself up for a potential massive legal liability, to which I had said screw you and did not sign up for that program. Now, let's take a look at this program. So when you go to the self-service store over here, it says order parts and tools. So we're going to go over just a couple of basic repairs here. I'm going to go Mac and product. Now, the first thing that I noticed with this program is that the variety is somewhat missing here. So you have MacBook Air M1 2020, MacBook Pro M1 2020, the Pro 2021, and the 16-inch 2021. So if you have an A1706, sucks to be you. If you have an A1707, A1708, A1989, A1990, A1534, A1502, A1398, sucks to be you. You have an A1466, A1465, A1369, A1370, A1278, A1286, A1297. Sucks to be you. You get pretty much these couple of models over here, which are very new, and people don't tend to all break their computers the year after they come out. They break their computers after they've had it for 2 or 3 or 4 years. So let's just take a look over here. I'm just going to choose MacBook Pro, 13-inch M1 2021. And so the first thing that sucks here is I need a serial number to be able to actually search the parts. Luckily, I have a customer's bottom case right on my desk, so let's just put in the serial number over here and search and see what we get. All right, here we go. So let's take a look at the different parts here. So one of my biggest criticisms when it comes to Apple is that if I need to replace something really basic, like a trackpad, which is on the top case, they won't let me just buy a trackpad. They make you buy the entire top case, which is very wasteful. So if you take a look on eBay over here, you can find a trackpad for one of these machines, again, $80, $85, $100. Let's see, this is for the Pro, $90, $95, $65, $75, $65, $75, and this is what actually makes it an economically viable repair. If I have to replace the entire top case at a cost of $300 or $400 or $500, it no longer makes sense as an economically viable repair because they're forcing me to replace everything. So something that's really, really cool here is that I can actually buy the trackpad by itself. $95.92 for the trackpad, $78.32 if I return the old one, which most people are probably going to opt to do. There's no reason to keep your old trackpad. This is cool. I can actually buy an individual part. This is not something that Apple used to do. This is actual progress. I'm impressed by this. This is not bad. So this over here, again, you can buy the flex cable as well. And they're selling, again, flex cable, reasonable price. Now, for some of the older machines, or let's say the M1 Air, the trackpads on eBay are like $30 to $40 versus $70 or $90 here. But again, you're getting it straight from the manufacturer. I don't have to worry about it having ghost touch or whether these came out of machines that didn't make quality control at the factory. This is reasonable. This is actually nice. The trackpad flex cable being there, that is cool. And the fact that you have all these different little screws just in case you lose them, I'm sure somebody's going to bitch that, oh my God, $5 for 5 screws, $1 a screw, it costs them only 10 cents to make. But this is honestly fair. Like, this is really, really fair. The other thing that I noticed is that they have a toolkit here. Now, I noticed that when it came to tools, most of the tech press was very, very focused in on this because they don't do this for a living. they're not forcing you to buy their tools to use their parts. You could actually use any of the tools on your desk that you want. So I am not buying most of these Apple tools because we already have tooled ourselves up and geared ourselves up here to be able to do all these repairs with the tools that we have that are often considerably cheaper than the tools that they have, and we're also used to it. So I don't really need to buy these tools. Most of the tech press was focusing on, oh my God, you have to buy a $300 toolkit. That's crazy. Who would buy that stupid toolkit? Even though you don't actually need the fucking toolkit to do it, 99% of the time, just a pry tool and common sense that costs $5 works, but most of them do not have that. So we're not even going to remotely go close to bitching about the toolkit here, as most of the tech press most likely will, because that's the low-hanging fruit for people that don't know jack shit about repair. So this is good. Now let's go over something else. Let's say like a keyboard. Here's where it gets a little tricky. You can buy keycaps, but most of the time what people need are not keycaps. They think they need keycaps. That's not what they need. The membrane is usually bad. The most common reason for a keyboard to fail is either the membrane failing spontaneously or the membrane fails because they spilled something. Let's just be real. And that is not here. So it doesn't look like I can get a keyboard this way. So it looks like I need to go to top case. And the top case is... yeah, this is Apple being Apple over here. So I'm just going to try and give you a little basic demonstration over here. Be right back. Okay, so this is from the recycling pile right next to my room. So this here is the top case of a MacBook. You can see that it includes usually the casing, the battery will be in there, wiring, random other shit. This is the top case. Most of the time, what a customer needs is not the top case, they just need the keyboard, which is literally the keyboard by itself and this little cable that allows it to attach to the computer, and some of them will have a wire for the power button that's integrated into it depending on the model. Selling somebody this entire top case for $400 to $500 when all they need is a keyboard that they can buy on eBay for, let's see, $35, $39, $40. It's very, not only is it wasteful, in terms of them replacing a bunch of parts they don't need to replace, but it's also an unnecessary expense that's often going to lead the customer to decide, well, it's just worth it to buy a new one. Most people will do repair calculations by figuring out, what does it cost to buy a new one? What does it cost to fix the one that I have? And if the cost to fix the one that you have is $400 or $500 as opposed to $35 in an hour of your time, many more people might just choose to replace it with a new one rather than simply replace the only part that needs replacing. This is one of the largest criticisms that the independent repair community and also Apple's customers tend to have, is that they want you to replace all of these parts that work to replace the one thing that you need, and they won't give you access to the one thing that you need. Repair centers like mine want to be able to use genuine Apple parts that we actually order from Apple. The reason that we don't order from Apple and we're stuck ordering off of Skype and eBay and Amazon is because I can't buy what it is I actually need from Apple. And if I were to buy what Apple thinks I should have, which is the entire case, I'm going to end up ripping my customer off. We charge less money here to replace a keyboard, parts, labor, and everything included, than Apple is charging for just the part by itself. And this in and by itself is not a ripoff. Again, you're getting a battery, you're getting the keyboard, you're getting the entire case. That's a fair price for everything you're getting. The problem is I don't need all of that stuff. I just need this. And that is something that has not changed with this program at all, which makes it, in my opinion, closer to useless. Now, again, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Well, Lewis, you don't understand the way these machines are put together. It's really difficult to replace just the keyboard because they rivet the keyboard into the case. Since the keyboard is riveted into the case, it's much more difficult to remove, so they have to replace the entire top case. They have to make only the entire top case available for sale. Well, who decided to rivet the keyboard into the computer? Apple. They did not need to rivet the keyboard into the case. That was their decision to do so. However, even if it was their decision to do that, why don't I have the decision to try and do the more difficult repair using my Exelite 175M, rip out the old rivets, and put this keyboard in? I'll do that to save $300. I think most of the people watching this video would be open to doing that to save $300, but most of you probably wouldn't even bother doing this self-repair. You would not pay $400 for a keyboard. What you would do is you would go to an independent repair shop and have them replace this $35 part and worry about cursing as they rip out the rivets with the little thing by hand themselves. Now, there's another common misconception that I'd like to go over here, which is that one of the reasons that I dislike these repair programs is because they make me look bad. If people figure out that they can just buy the parts by themselves, then they'll realize that Lewis was useless in ripping them off all along. That's why Lewis doesn't like these repair programs. I'll see this posted to Reddit from time to time, which is very silly because our store charges less money than Apple is charging for the part by itself. So Apple is charging you over $400 just to buy the keyboard. We will give you the keyboard, install it, and provide a 1-year warranty will do all the work within 1 business day for less money than what Apple is asking for just the part by itself. This makes Apple's repair option look horrible to the consumer, in contrast to using an independent repair provider like us to do the actual work for them. So if anything, this makes it easy for me to bargain with customers who walk in who are like, $250 just for a keyboard? I can now point them to Apple's website and say, well, you're welcome to buy it for $400 to $500 and do it yourself, which actually is a good point for us, but not necessarily a good point for the customer. I think the customer should also have the option to buy a keyboard without having to deal with the junk that is eBay, Amazon, Skype, and wiring money to random people, hoping that what they get actually works. So let's go over this with something like a display, because the same general principle is going to be at play here, and this is an important one because this is, again, one of the most common things that people break. So over here, it says the display, $439.12 after credit, $527.12 if you don't return the old display. Now, this is not necessarily a ripoff because you're getting the entire display assembly, which is something like this. Again, the entire display assembly, again, this is just something I grabbed out of the junk bin, is the Apple logo, the metal in the back. You have the hinges over here. You have the wiring. Sometimes you'll have the Wi-Fi antenna in here, depending on the model. On older models, you'll even have the Wi-Fi card and the Wi-Fi antenna all integrated in display assembly. You've got the webcam. You've got the backlight layers, and the backlight for the screen itself is all in here. However, 99% of the time when a customer walks in with a bad screen, all those parts are fine. The only thing that they've broken is the front LCD cell. This is the LCD cell by itself. This is the part that makes the image. This does not have the backlight. This does not have the back metal piece over here with the Apple logo. This does not have hinges. It does not have a webcam. It is literally just the LCD by itself. Now, you used to be able to buy these anywhere from $72 for the LP133WP1 TJA back in 2013, sometimes $48 or $38 for the B116XW06VO for the 11-inch MacBook Air, and something closer to $80 to $100 for something more high resolution like the LP133WQ1 SJEV or SJA1 for an A1502 Retina MacBook. So these anywhere from $40 to $100 for just this by itself. This, $400 to $500 when the only thing you need is this. Now again, if you have a machine that's used a few years old and it's worth $600 and you have a choice between replacing the $500 part in your $600 machine or a $100 part in your $600 machine, which one do you think is more likely to result in the customer moving forward with a repair rather than junking the whole thing and throwing it away? Yeah, you understand where I'm coming from here. And same thing goes for the screen. You may think, well, Lewis, this is a really difficult repair to do. Of course they can't sell just this. They need to sell the entire display assembly because they glued it all together. Well, whose decision was it to glue all this together? Apple's. It's quite easy to make a laptop like a framework, which is incredibly, incredibly thin, while having a screen that is easily user replaceable. However, even though this is difficult to replace, and I will give you that many people are probably going to screw this up in the first time, it does suck that this part is not made available, not just to end users, but even to expert repair shops. I've been doing this repair now for almost a decade. I have 4.9 stars on Google with over 1,400 reviews. We're one of the best rated providers in this industry, and even I cannot buy this part properly if I want to. I need to go on Skype and message random people in other countries and wire them money and hope and pray that what I get from this probably illegitimate business is something that actually works and not just, a box of anthrax. And that's what we're advocating for. We are advocating for the ability to actually buy this instead of buying all of this. We're advocating for the ability to buy this rather than buying all of this. And let's move on to the motherboard, because I'm 99% certain that this is going to be something that's fairly disappointing for me as somebody that does board repair. Again, they didn't make schematics, diagrams, chips, and all that available on their independent repair provider program. So I sincerely doubt they'll make that available here. And yeah, so you can get the board for $499.84 after credit, or $614.24 for the entire board. Not a horrible price for a motherboard. It's just the problem is if I want a schematic, a board view, a crumb, just a crumb, you don't get any of that at all. You get none of that. This part is kind of sad. And again, I wouldn't even ask Apple to sell these things. It would just be great if they would tell Texas Instruments and Intersil that they were allowed to sell this chip to us rather than tell them that they're not allowed to sell that kind of stuff to us. So again, I know that most average ordinary consumers are not going to be doing board repair, but something to keep in mind is that you cannot even get these parts that I'm talking about from Apple's independent repair provider program. If you become Apple authorized and you do every single thing that they say, you follow every instruction they give you, you are still not able to do board repair or anything like that. Now, Apple did release a document that they talked about. Now, this is something that Apple did say, that this is not something that is simple to do. It's not something that can be done with a repeatable level of quality and blah, blah, blah. And they mentioned that in this video, and they kind of threw independent repair under the bus when they were saying that when it comes to board repair, that's why they're not offering it, because it's just not something that's going to be done as properly as their other refurbishing practices are. And to which I would respond that I actually have better reviews on Google than they do. So the Apple Store in this area, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.2. Rossmann Repair Group, 4.9, because my staff do damn good board repairs that I would actually put up against Apple's own refurbished boards for longevity and quality any day of the week. So I push back against that part. So the TLDR is that this is progress. They made a trackpad available for sale. I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to be condescending here. That's impressive. They made a component available. This is something that I'm not used to. And they actually, looks like they made an audio board available, which on at least the M1 Air, I'm not sure about the M1 Pro, but I know on the M1 Air, that shit breaks all the time. This thing over here often winds up shorting the motherboard to ground, and it looks like you can buy that for $12. I don't know if the audio board's available for the Air as well as the Pro. I know for a fact this fails in the Air a lot. I'm not sure on the Pro, but making that available for $12, that's awesome. Like, that's about as cheap as you're going to find that thing on eBay. I remember that thing being on eBay for like $50 to $60 just a few months ago. So they're actually making individual components available in some small way. They're not making keyboards. They're not making screens. Again, for somebody like me, 90% of this program is still worthless. They don't cover most computers that they sell. For the computers they do sell, most of the individual components that actually break are not covered in an economically viable way. So this is still useless. But it's like 90% useless instead of 100% useless. And I'm not kidding when I say good job. Like, I'm dead serious. Apple actually did make a little bit of progress here. It's sad that it took like 7 years to be able to get to a point where I could buy a trackpad or an audio board from Apple or a charge port. But I will actually use this. I will buy a charge port, an audio board, or a trackpad from this site if, it hasn't blacklisted, Tim Cook hasn't blacklisted my address by now. I'm dead serious. I'm not against spending money to get the parts directly from Apple. I'm all for it if they actually make this stuff available. I'm willing to pay for schematics. I'm willing to pay for diagrams. I'm willing to pay for board views. And I'm willing to pay a yearly subscription service fee to be able to have access to something like this. I'm fine with all that. It just actually needs to be made available. The unfortunate reality here is that this site is designed for one-off repairs. Again, in order to make an order, I do need to have a valid serial number. I do not order parts when the customer comes into my store. I have them pre-ordered and pre-stocked so that I already have the part in my store for when the customer brings in a device for repair. This means that when somebody brings in something for repair, they're not waiting a week or two for me to get a part. It's immediately available. So the self-service repair program is really primarily designed for them and not repair shops. The independent repair provider program is supposed to be able to give you access to everything that they're giving you access to here. However, that program does not give you access to schematics and board views, and it gives Apple access to your business to be able to audit you and get you into serious legal shit if they find anything at your business that's not supposed to be there. Schematics, board views, chipsets from Texas. Again, all these schematics and board views that I get are literally stolen from somewhere. So that would get me in serious hot water. So I cannot get access to any of these parts through the self-service program, nor can I get access to them through the independent repair provider program because A, let's be real, they would never accept me into that program, and B, even if I was accepted into that program, the moment they stepped into my business and saw all the crap that I have here that I'm not supposed to have here that I use every single day to be able to repair these products, my membership to that program would be immediately revoked and most likely legal action would be taken against me as per the contract that I signed. So unfortunately, as cool as this seems, this is still not a program that would allow me to be able to actually buy anything necessary to be able to fix your products besides a trackpad and an audio board that I am not going to be allowed to purchase through this program because it's designed for end consumers, not repair technicians. But it's still progress, and that's the sad thing here is that 10 years in, this is actually enough to be considered progress. But it is progress. It is just one small step. Again, if you come into this store and you have an issue with a keyboard, sucks to be you. Again, you're going to be paying $100 to $200 more to have it fixed on your own than you would to have it fixed through me, where I'm doing all the work for you. When it comes to screens, you're going to be paying more at Apple using this program to fix it yourself than you will to come to a store like mine and have it fixed for you, because they're not making the discrete parts available by themselves. But it is still progress. And again, to everybody who's going to say, well, they can't make just this available because they glued this screen into the case, or they can't just make this keyboard available because they riveted it into the case. Who riveted it into the case? Who glued the screen in there? Not me. So again, these are design decisions, and they don't have to be made in the way that they are made. There are other brands that are demonstrating that you don't have to do it like that. And even if it does make the repair more difficult for your average, ordinary consumer, so what? Let them buy it. Let them have the choice. Give them option 1, option 2. Option 1, you'll probably screw it up. Option 2, you probably won't screw it up. The fact that this choice is not made available to consumers, I can kind of understand. The fact that this choice is not made available to professional technicians is the point of contention for me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.
Hello. Hello, Louis.
Why is he staring up at me? Is it because he loves me?
I think Krusty just wants a piece of your chicken. Let's see. Meh.
Yeah, you don't love me. You just want food.
Yeah, he does.
You little bastard.
What are you eating?
Come on, eat it.
Oh.
Eat it.
I don't even want it.
Really? Danny, eat it.
I'm good.
Eat it, Danny.
I have my salad.
Danny, eat it.
I'll take you to Texas.